We have some game-changing news to get to on Seattle Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker III. We'll break that down for you, tell you what's going on with K9 coming up on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Before we go any further in today's show, let's show K9 some love. Like the video. Who knows? He may be watching somebody close to them, a family friend, whoever it may be. Let's let the 12's voices be heard loud and clear. We want to see as many likes as we can to show some support for Kenneth Walker III. Like the video, and we'll get going with today's show. We begin today as we have a very positive update to get to on Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker III in regards to his injury that kept him out of Sunday's game against the Arizona Cardinals, a calf injury. This comes from Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald in his Wednesday news conference. He's still day-to-day right now. It got more kind of complicated as the week went on, so that's why we had to do some more tests and stuff. But right now, there's positive signs, and so we'll just say day-to-day, I think is fair, but it's not long-term. So to put that into context, Walker day-to-day, not long-term. Just so we're clear, everybody's on the same page. Not a serious injury for the Seattle Seahawks running back. And for Seattle, this is strength in numbers, right? This is a big deal that Kenneth Walker III is not going to be out for an extended period of time. Now, Macdonald did not say, however, that he's going to play this Sunday against the Green Bay Packers, but at the very least, it is a positive sign that he should not be out too long, that we should see Kenneth Walker back on the field sooner than later, and that's very good news that the Seahawks are going to have Kenneth Walker back sooner than later. And you think about this. When it comes to Kenneth Walker III, we know that he's a very good running back, and we've seen this Seattle team have some really bad luck when it comes to injuries at the running back position, all the way back to Chris Carson, Rashad Penny. Kenneth Walker's been banged up a bit. We've seen Charbonnet get banged up. Heck, even Kenny McIntosh, for that matter, has dealt with some injuries since he entered the National Football League. Adding a guy like Walker back into the mix is only going to make this run game better. I know people are going to point to last week for Charbonnet, and we'll go over some of his numbers, what he did against Arizona, and say, hey, he's got the hot hand. Do we even need Kenneth Walker III? And I would tell you, yes, you do need Kenneth Walker III, that it's only going to make things better to have multiple options in the mix for this Seahawks rushing attack. Are you excited about the eventual return of Kenneth Walker III? Whether it is this Sunday or next remains to be seen, but it's at least very optimistic that things are heading in the right direction. Weigh in, type Y for yes, in for no. Today's show is sponsored by Zbiotics. I have their product in hand. I'll show you here in just a minute so you guys can get the visual. There it is, right there, Zbiotics. This is a fantastic product. You got to see for yourself. Let me tell you about it, folks. Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I had to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found Zbiotics pre-alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. The first time I tried Zbiotics was at a party. I was having myself a good time. As instructed, I drank a bottle of pre-alcohol before any alcohol. I was amazed at how good I felt the next day. From Thanksgiving feast to New Year's Eve celebrations, this holiday season is packed with events, but don't let the festivities leave you feeling less than merry. Zbiotics pre-alcohol probiotic can help you savor the night and seize the next day. So stay in the loop and go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. You can also scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use code chatsports at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. Zbiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you the money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code chatsports at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, Zbiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. So you look at the running back room for Seattle, and one of the things that I have said that I'll continue to preach is that this is one of, if not the best backfields in the entire National Football League when everybody's healthy. K9, I'm a big fan of. He's fantastic. Zach Charbonnet, a lot of y'all had wrote him off, but in the words of Gino, he didn't write back. Zach Charbonnet with the best game of his career last week against the Arizona Cardinals. And Kenny McIntosh has shown that he's more than capable of being a very solid RB3 and did a pretty decent job as the RB2 last week with Kenneth Walker out. I loved what I saw from Charbonnet last week, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he should take Kenneth Walker III's job. I think there is a happy medium where both of them can be impact players and play significant roles within this offense without having to take away from Kenneth Walker III. I think that ideally you get some packages involved where they're both on the field together, whether it's two-back sets or putting Charbonnet in the slot, whatever it may be. I think you can get the most out of both of them. And Kenneth Walker III, he continues to be solid, right? Former second-round pick out of Michigan, was an all-rookie team selection in 2022. And if you count this season, that's 3 straight years he's been the Seahawks' leading rusher, all right? He has been very consistent. But there's one thing that does hold him back, and I'll tell you what that is in just a bit. You probably have a good idea what that may be. But you look at the numbers, and this is what he's done so far in 2024. You can see both making impact in not just the rushing game, but also the receiving game as well, with 38 catches, 7 touchdowns on the ground, 271 rushing yards and a receiving touchdown. He's been solid. You look at Charbonnet, and we talk about the ability as both a runner and a pass catcher, much like K9 in the same sense, including this year. He's had back-to-back seasons with over 400 rushing yards and 200 receiving yards. I mean, he's been pretty solid. He rushed for more yards in last week's game against Arizona than we've seen from any Seahawks running back this season. The numbers on that game, by the way, this is what we're talking about. 22 carries, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 catches, 59 yards. He was fantastic. And you look at that, I mean, the rushing total was, what, just a little bit more than a fourth of his entire year, what he did last week. So, yeah, in a perfect world, you get a lot out of both these guys, and you have a dynamic 1-2 punch. If you had to pick one to start, I'm still rolling with K9. I do like me some Zach, but K9's still my dude. What about you guys? Would you rather roll with K9 or Zach as your starting tailback? Type K9 for Kenneth Walker. Type ZC for Zach Charbonnet. For the best Seahawks coverage around, you got to subscribe to Seattle Seahawks Today. We're going to be live coming up this Sunday night for the Seahawks matchup against the Green Bay Packers for our watch party. Big Tex will join me. We will continue to bring you our daily news and rumors, breaking news, Q&A mailbags, and more. It's all right here on your one-stop shop for all things Seahawks. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. So, I told you earlier that there was one thing that could potentially hold back the success of Kenneth Walker, in addition to Zach Charbonnet, and that is the play of the offensive line. But we have seen Seattle's offensive line play a lot better in recent weeks. You could argue this past week may have been their best performance of the year with what we saw in the run game, and Gino was not sacked a single time. If the offensive line does their job, Seattle's running back room will do theirs, and it will go a long way. You look at the rushing rankings for Seattle, they're not great, if we're going to be frank with you. Rush play percentage, 27th in the league. Yards per rush, 24th in the league. Rushers per game, 26th. Rushing yards per game, 27th. And rushing touchdowns per game, that's a solid number. That's 6th. But based on what we saw last week, with the offensive line's improvements, there is reason to be optimistic that this run game is headed in the right direction. And also, Ryan Grubb seems to be more committed to the run game than he's been all season as well. So, with that said, to kind of put a bow on all this, folks, there's work to be done with this run game. I think that's evident just when you look at those numbers that we showed you a moment ago. But based on last week, with where this team is at right now, I would say that this run game is trending in the right direction. And getting a healthy Kenneth Walker III back into the equation is only going to help that cause as well. So there's a lot of reason to be hopeful of where Seattle's run game goes from here. Do you believe in the Seahawks run game? I believe. I think they'll get the job done. What do you guys think? That B for believe, D for don't. I'm spamming that B for believe. What do you guys think? Weigh in that comment section below. Appreciate you guys joining us on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. If you enjoyed today's show, you want to show Kenneth Walker some love, just tickle that like button. Just don't hesitate. Don't be fearful of that like button. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. Thanks for being here with us, folks. We are going to be back here Sunday night, Seahawks, Packers. Our coverage begins 4:15 Pacific time with our hour-long pregame show. And then, of course, we'll have the game to follow afterwards. Don't miss out on that live right here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Sunday night right here on Seahawks Today.